Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity Myrtle Beach Sunday morning service for February 7th, 2021. My name is Reverend Margaret Hiller. I am privileged to be spiritual leader with Unity Myrtle Beach here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And I invite you this morning to give thanks for our wonderful Unity music team. We thank them for that beautiful music coming into the service. Helps to open our hearts, our minds, and be ready to receive our blessings of healing, renewal, peace, and regeneration this morning. I'd like to begin with our prayer of Jesus, known as the Lord's Prayer, and it is from the Aramaic translation. I invite you to take a deep breath with me and listen to these words and let them take you to the core of your being, where we access the kingdom of heaven consciousness that Jesus taught about. Father, Mother, Birther, and Breath of all, create a space inside of us and fill it with your presence. Let oneness now prevail. Your one desire then flows through ours as energy fills all form. Give us this day our physical and spiritual nourishment, and untangle the knots of error that bind us as we release others. Do not let appearances make us forgetful of the source, but free us to act appropriately. From age to age, through you, flow the glorious harmonies of life. May these words be fertile statements through which our future grows. Amen, amen, and amen. So today we have a wonderful guest speaker, Reverend Dr. Preston McKever-Floyd. This is a pre-recorded message, so we know that you will enjoy it. I'm going to listen along with you this morning. Before we go to Reverend Preston, we want to read our daily word for inner peace. And the affirmation today is, I express the peace of God. Peace be still. With these words, Jesus claimed his authority and calmed the stormy waters. Following Jesus's example, I too claim authority. In a stressful moment, I center my awareness in the divine presence that lives in me and expresses through me. This divine presence is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect wisdom. It is peace that nothing and no one can disturb. No matter what may be happening around me, at the center of my being, there is always peace. It is an aspect of my divine inheritance, as near as my next thought. I release all fear and tension and embrace the peace of God. As I do, divine peace radiates from the center of my being. It clarifies my thoughts, calms my emotions, and relaxes my body. In every situation, I am a presence of peace. And from the book of Isaiah, those of steadfast mind you keep in peace because they trust in you. Again, those of steadfast mind you keep in peace because they trust in you. So this morning, we breathe into this divine idea that I express the peace of God. And no matter what's going on around us, peace is within us, around us, and we can express that peace. It's a mighty powerful calling. So this morning, we will once again welcome one of our most beloved guest speakers, Reverend Dr. Preston McKever-Floyd. Many of you know Dr. Preston from his work at Coastal Carolina University, professor of religion and philosophy. His message this morning is entitled, An Answer, Not the Answer. An answer, not the answer. So we will go into the meditation now with our meditation music brought to us by our Unity music team. We want to thank all of them for pre-recording music so we could do our pre-recorded Zoom message. And also special thanks to David Lacombe, who is editing the message today and dropping in the music and doing all these wonderful, magical, technical things. Thank you, Dave Lacombe. So we take a deep breath together. We welcome Dr. Preston McKever-Floyd, and we once again thank our music team. And now to our meditation music.
The Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want. Sometimes I believe it, and other times I don't. He can lead me by still waters, but he cannot make me drink. The Lord is still my shepherd. It don't matter what I think. Sometimes it's hard to find the comfort of his rod and staff. And I look around and I'm bowed down again to the golden calf. but he prepareth me a table before my enemies. The Lord's still my shepherd, no matter what I believe. And under my own power I would never last a day. Using my own judgment I'd be sure to lose my way, and wander lost and aimless down these corridors of time. But the Lord remains eternal, all that changes is my mind.
Good morning, Unity Myrtle Beach. It's always a pleasure to be with you. Let's begin our moment of meditation. Deep within us is a river of well-being, a river of wisdom, a river of love. So often in our busyness, we lose touch with that river that is able to water and fulfill our lives. Let's silence ourselves this morning and get in touch with the flow of that great, eternal, and internal river. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Allow the peace of that internal river to wash over you. Allow it to flow. Let go of anxious thought. Breathe in peace. Let go of fearful thoughts. Breathe in peace. Let go of unloving thoughts. Breathe in love and light. Allow your wandering thoughts to settle. And allow that deep inner peace, wisdom, and love to flow upward in your heart and in your mind. Let go and let the river flow. let go, and let the river flow. Amen. It is so. This morning, I would like to speak from this thought: an answer, not the answer. An answer, not the answer. I'm sure you, as I do, look around at current events, and everyone wants to give a quick and easy answer for what is going on, or a way to overcome, or a way to, or a solution to every problem. Now, there is such a thing in mathematics, chemistry, and physics as an elegant answer. An elegant answer is a simple answer, but it is a well thought out answer, not a quick and easy answer. Often, as I think about ourselves as human beings and how we form opinions and thoughts, I'm reminded of the poem about the 6 learned men who happened to be blind that encountered an elephant for the first time. The first man was near the wall, near the side of the elephant. So he said, "Oh, I know, the elephant is like a wall." And there was another blind man at the tusk. He said, "Oh, no. This is like a spear. So the elephant is sharp, like a spear. Then there was a man who was at the trunk. And he said, "No, you can't be right. This part is squiggly. This is like a snake." And then there was a fourth man. He was at the knee. And he said, no, this is like a tree. So the elephant is strong like a tree. And then the 5th man, who was near the ear of the elephant, said, no, it's wide like a fan. So no, these things can't be so that you're saying. And then the 6th blind man was at the tail. And he said, "No, this is like a rope." And so it is that we are so often that way. Whatever part we see, we think that it is the whole. Now, it is significant because it's a part of the whole, but it's not the whole. Is the answer incorrect? No, it is correct insofar as we are experiencing it. But we make the mistake of thinking the way we see it is the only way it is and the only way it can be. And that is, even with intelligent answers, that can be a matter of arrogance, where we assume that the way I see it is the only way that it can be, and that our treasured thoughts are the only thoughts that are right. And it's really easy to slip into that. But we must remind ourselves, each of these blind men had an answer, but it was not the answer. Secondly, don't believe everything you think. We have thoughts, so many thousand thoughts per minute. And can anyone tell me where these thoughts come from? No, we don't really know where our thoughts come from. So be careful about believing it simply because you thought it. Your thinking needs to be questioned. I have a lot of things that I believe, and they work for me. But I also have no problem with living with the possibility that they can be wrong. And thus I seek daily to learn and to listen and to be careful in my evaluations of things. Do I slip up? Oh, yes, I do. And sometimes I make judgments a little too quick. But in my quiet moments, I remind myself that simply because I think it, no matter how bright I think I am, simply because I think it does not make it so. We see this in the world that we're living in. So many of our conflicts, so many of the troubles that we witness are because we believe everything we think. And all you have to do is watch just 30 minutes of the news, national and international, and you will see the results of this kind of thinking. It's not easy to accept that we can be wrong, or sometimes accept that we are indeed wrong. That's not easy. That is a lesson in humility. The arrogance and conceit of intelligence can be very dangerous. We're not talking about people who just don't know, but even those who know and know a lot. Sometimes in their conceit and arrogance, they fail to realize that there may be another perspective other than theirs, no matter how wonderful your perspective is. Many times I see people on Facebook and they will make statements, and because it's their belief, they think that everybody should believe it that way. And it is not so. I like to put on Facebook, as many of you know, consider this. Many times these are things I believe, but most of the time they really are not. It's just ideas that I see, and I think they are worth considering. New possibilities. This is the way we grow. This is the way we grow intellectually. This is the way we grow spiritually, by examining our thoughts, by meditating on information that comes to us. Information alone is not knowledge. Knowledge comes when information has been examined and examined thoroughly. When information has been walked around like the elephant, where you walk around the whole thing and then decide what it is, rather than viewing it from just one perspective. This is how you gain knowledge. This is how you gain wisdom. The other thing, be humble enough to learn from anyone who comes into your presence. Everyone, if you pay attention, can be your teacher. From the youngest child to the oldest person, a person who may not look like they have wisdom or knowledge, they can be your teacher if you pay attention. And what I have found, much to my great chagrin over the years, those people whom you do not like end up being your greatest teachers, because you cannot relate to something that is not somehow touching you from the inside. So if it's something about that person you dislike, and especially if a strong dislike, examine it. There's a lesson in it for you. I have learned this. And when we are patient, we get the lesson. And that is what we're here for, to get our lesson. This world, as we know, is not perfect, nor will it be. The other thing about this world is it's constantly changing. So to hold on so strongly and so tightly to a view is to shut yourself off from new, richer experiences. I have watched people that I love dearly make their lives smaller and smaller, either from fear or because they really think they have all the answers, that they've lived long enough, that they have all the answers. So they quietly and really, I think unconsciously, shut themselves off from others, from new experiences, from new ideas. And as a result, their lives get smaller and smaller and more miserable. And the interesting thing about this is, again, much to my surprise, I have seen this in very young people, not just old people, young people who have decided that they'll say of a kind of food or anything, oh, I don't like it. And you ask, well, have you ever tried? No, I don't like it. How can you possibly not truly like it if you haven't tried it? Even if you try it and don't like it, at least you will have some basis for not liking it because you tried it. But to sit back and to make judgments on everything from music to food to books without reading, without tasting, that is to miss out on life, and that is to limit yourself. You have an answer, but it's not the answer. Another thing about having an answer, answers, if you are settled on an answer, you have in some sense cut yourself off again from learning, no matter how intellectual, no matter how deeply spiritual this idea may be, you're cutting yourself off from fresh experiences by settling so strongly on an answer. Pay attention to those who have the questions, not merely those who have the answers. I'm always reminded of a young woman I had as a student once. Very small, nothing intimidating about her at all. But she always asked questions. She didn't care if I was impatient with her. She didn't care if other students thought her questions were stupid. She asked her question. And I gained great respect for her. And we learned by her asking questions, because there were things that I had inside that I wouldn't have brought out had she not asked the question. And there were other students there sitting in the class wanting to ask the same questions, but they would not dare ask the questions. She always asked the questions, and I've never forgotten her. There have been questions that have pried me along in my life, intellectually and spiritually. I'm troubled when someone asks me a question. If I don't have an answer, I'm going to write it down and I'm going to get back that question. I'm going to work to get it. I remember once when I was teaching Intro to Philosophy very early on, and there was a retired medical examiner from New York State, Susan Spencer, a mature woman, and she would always ask, when we were talking about what was happening in ancient Greece or whatever, she would always ask, well, what was going on in Africa? What was going on in China? And by her constantly prodding me with those questions, it made me study other regions of the world. It made me become conversant with other cultures. It made me interested in other ways of seeing other than the traditions that I had been taught in. It's real easy to fall into simply teaching what you've been taught without truly examining what it is. We must learn to examine what it is we are taught. Be it spiritual, be it intellectual, be it historical, none of these things are really settled. As wonderful as they may be, they are not settled. You have an answer, not the answer. Don't believe everything you think. Be open to question. Question yourself as well as allow yourself to be questioned. Look closely at those things that disturb you. Look very closely at don't just talk to people who believe like you believe. Talk to people who believe differently. Read things that are different from your view. Listen to things that are different from your view. What it doesn't necessarily even make you lose your view, but it enhances your view. One of the things I learned in teaching world religions to young students, there was a great hue and cry about, no, you shouldn't teach world religions they get confused. No, what I discovered is that when young people studied other religions, they realized how much they didn't know about their own. They had beliefs, but they really didn't know. And I remember several students said to me who had grown up in various traditions, but they'd kind of lost an interest in things religious and their churches or institutions that they were associated with or had been reared in. And after studying world religions, looking at religions from around the world, looking at the way things connected, many of them came to me and said, I'm going to look again at my religious tradition. So it doesn't necessarily take you away, it expands. The other very interesting story I have is a student who came into my class and he was pierced pretty much all over. And I always asked, why are you taking this class? And this is world religions. And he said to me, I'm taking this class so I can learn about religions and debunk all of them. I said, okay, very well. Well, need I tell you, by the end of the semester, his view had changed. And he was one of the best students in the class. Though he came with a particular perspective, he was interested in learning. So as a result, he realized just how much he didn't know. And the very fact, it was so interesting to me when he was tattooed and pierced, and that's one of the oldest, these are some of the oldest religious traditions in the world, and he had no idea why he was doing it. But he found some more answers as he looked deeply at other cultures, other ways of seeing. Our lives are enhanced. Our views are strengthened. Our views are broadened by questioning, not being so quick to believe everything we think, and understanding that your answer is tentative. This is what I hold until I learn something else or learn something deeper. I have an answer, not the answer. I want to read this, and many of you have heard this many times. The prologue from The Tale of Two Cities, Charles Dickens. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief. It was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair. We had everything before us. That speaks of every epoch, really. Can you not see? And we are definitely living, on one hand, in an epoch of foolishness and incredulity. But we And I'm saying we, those of us who have a spiritual bent, who are seeking to understand things beyond the physical, metaphysically, these, while being times of darkness, we should be discovering and bringing light. That is our job. That is our mission. That is our purpose. While things can appear very dark, I'm reminded always, just like that river that I talked about that's deep inside of us, in us is the light as well. The door to the light is inside of us. And so we must not get too caught up. It's real easy, trust me, it's real easy to get caught up in what is happening all around us. But we have to remember, and all of the great religious traditions have taught this, that in some ways this is illusion. Now, that doesn't mean it's a fantasy. It does not mean it's something made up. It's actually something going on, it's just not necessarily what you see. And that becomes the trial. And that's in every age, in every epoch, in every circumstance in our lives. This is the issue. There's light, there's dark. Anything in this world, the phenomenal, perishable, physical world, is a dance of opposites. A dance of opposites. A dance of light and dark. A dance of love and fear. A constant movement. And we must remind ourselves of that. I do constantly for myself. No matter how severe these things may appear, they will change. Just as the pendulum in a clock swings, this is the universal law of polarity. Things will not stay the same. Things will not. They cannot. It's not the nature of the universe for them to stay permanent. They must change. And we must change in order to see it. We must stay in touch with the questions. We must stay in touch with that light and wisdom that's deep within us. And you know, and I'm sure you've discovered this, the answers that's usually most correct for my life are the answers I don't want. They are rarely the answers I want. So much of my life, I could go through story after story of the way things turned out, and they're absolutely wonderful, was not the way I saw it. So again, understand that we have an answer, not the answer. Thank you.